Okay, so you make strategic decisions every single day, right? But have you ever stopped to think about the science behind them? Well, that's where something called game theory comes in. And look, it's not some dusty academic thing. It's actually a super powerful tool that explains why we make the choices we do, especially when other people's decisions affect our own. So today, we're going to break down how it all works and what it really means for business.
All right, to really get a grip on this, let's start with a classic high-stakes scenario. I want you to imagine a scene straight out of a movie. There's a crime, a frantic getaway, and then, bam, you're caught.
So the police have you and your partner, and they separate you. You can't talk to each other. A detective walks into your room and lays out a deal. What you decide right now and what your partner is deciding in the next room is going to determine both of your fates. The big question is, what would you do?
Okay, let's break this down. Take a look at the matrix here. If you both stay silent, you each get just 1 year in jail. That's the best outcome for the team, right? The best collective outcome. But here's the temptation. If you betray your partner and they stay silent, you walk away totally free. That is by far the best outcome for you. The danger, though, if you both betray each other, you're both getting 5 years. And the absolute worst-case scenario, you stay silent like a loyal partner, but they rat you out. You're looking at 10 long years. Man, the pressure is really on.
And this is the absolute heart of the dilemma. The choice that seems most logical for you as an individual, betraying them to try and walk free, can lead to a way worse outcome if your partner makes the exact same logical choice. It's this classic tension, right? What's best for me versus what's best for us. In fact, that scenario where you both betray each other, that has a name. It's called a Nash equilibrium. It's a point where neither of you can improve your situation by changing your mind on your own. You're basically stuck.
So, this whole prisoner's dilemma thing, it's way more than just a cool thought experiment. It's actually a perfect foundational example of a much bigger field that explains how we make strategic choices in, well, pretty much everything, from boardrooms to battlefields. So, what is game theory exactly? Well, to put it simply, it's the science of strategy. It's a framework that lets us analyze any situation where the result of your choice depends on the choices other people make. It forces you to think a few steps ahead, not just about what you're going to do, but what everyone else might do in response.
Okay, so how does this apply outside of a police station, right? Well, think about it. Business is absolutely filled with these kinds of games. Competitors, partners, even people on your own team. They're all players making strategic moves.
Let's take a classic example. Imagine two companies that sell the same kind of product. They're both trying to figure out what price to set. This is a perfect business dilemma.
You can see how this is basically the prisoner's dilemma all over again, right? Slashing your prices might feel like a great way to grab more customers. That's kind of like the betrayal option. But what happens if your competitor does the exact same thing? Suddenly, you're both trapped in a price war, and profits just tank for everyone involved. It's a lose-lose. The better long-term play, the staying silent option, is often to compete on things like quality and service. That way, both businesses can actually survive and even thrive.
Or hey, think about negotiating with a supplier. If you go in with the single goal of squeezing every last penny out of them, what's going to happen? They might just walk away, and the whole deal falls apart. But if you actually think about what they need, you can usually find a sweet spot where you both win. And that doesn't just get you a deal, it builds a real, long-term partnership.
This stuff even happens inside a company. On a team project, it's so tempting for one person to just coast a little, thinking, someone else will pick up the slack. But what if everyone starts thinking that way? The whole project just crashes and burns. The only way to get a great result is through real cooperation, where everyone is pulling their weight.
All right, so if we know these traps exist, how do we stay out of them? Well, the cool thing about game theory is that it's not just about pointing out the problems. It actually gives us a framework to find better solutions. It's all about learning to think strategically. This right here, this is the essential shift in thinking. Instead of just reacting to what your competitor just did, you start thinking about what they're going to do next. You start looking past the quick, easy win and thinking about the long-term consequences. And you realize, sometimes, that cooperating can be the smartest, most powerful competitive move you can make. It's really the difference between playing checkers and playing chess.
And that brings us to what is, I think, the most powerful takeaway from all of this when you apply it to the real world. It completely changes how you think about what it means to win.
Here's the key insight from game theory in the business world. It doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. You don't have to win by making someone else lose. The real strategy, the big brain move, is to create a situation where everybody wins. It's about making the whole pie bigger for everyone, not just fighting to get the biggest slice.
So, I'm going to leave you with a question. Think about the games you're playing in your own professional life. Are you playing to win no matter what? Or are you playing to create more value for everyone involved? The truly great strategists, they don't just play the game better, they figure out how to change the rules to create a better outcome for everyone. The only question left is, will you?